In today's video, I want to talk about easy pose or Sukhasana, and I want to share some tips and strategies for coming into the pose, especially if you are like me, you might be over 40 with some nagging injuries and you have your over 40 joints is what I like to call them. So let's talk a little bit about easy seated pose. If you're new here, my name is Heather. Welcome back to my channel if you're returning. And this YouTube channel is all about yoga for those of us over 35, 40, 50, and beyond who want to bring yoga into our fitness and wellness journeys. So today we're going to talk about easy pose or easy seated position. So you might go to a yoga class, or maybe you've done yoga with me, and we come into an easy seated position with your legs crossed in front of you. Your hands might come to your knees, your thighs, the floor beside you. It's intended to be a relaxation pose. Oftentimes we start yoga class in this position. Now, if you are struggling with your hips, with your knees, any part of any joint issues that you might have from your hips down, you might feel like this is not easy pose. All right. This might in fact be something that feels a little bit too intense. And when your teacher tells you to come into that pose, you're like, oh my God, get us out of this pose right now. Okay. So if you have tight hips, and it might not necessarily just be from an injury, okay? You might have tight hips because we're in a phase of history where we sit a lot. We work on the computers all day long. You might be in the car a lot. You're sitting. Your muscles, your joints, your tendons, all of these things tighten up around your hips here, okay? And so as a result, when you come into easy seated position, you might feel like this is about as far as you can get your knees down to the ground, okay? Totally okay. 100% okay. So when you come into an easy seated position, there's a couple different things that you can do to help relax these muscles so that when you're sitting in this position, when you're sitting in easy pose, it's not a punishment, okay? It doesn't feel like it's just this, when can we get out of this pose, all right? So just for a little bit of reference here, from my hips down to my feet, I have 2 rods in my legs and 13 screws. So I've had surgeries on my hips, my knees, my ankles, my feet. All right. I've got all the things. I call myself the titanium woman because I'm filled with titanium from the hips down. Okay. When I'm sharing this with you, I am a yoga teacher, but what I'm sharing with you is just some of my own personal experience of things that I have learned over the years about how to modify some of these poses for bad hips, knees, ankles, that kind of stuff. So the first thing is that if you are in a yoga class, you come into an easy seated position and you feel like it's a little bit too intense, you can sit on a yoga block. All right. Most yoga studios will have these. You can bring them with you when you go to a yoga class. You can do them at home. This is a cork yoga block. There's foam yoga blocks as well. Foam are going to be a little bit softer to sit on. I do have a YouTube video about the differences between cork and foam yoga blocks if you're trying to decide which ones you want to purchase, but I like to just place it long on my mat on the widest setting here to just cover my hips. So what I can do is just come on to the block and then now come into the easy seated position, and it might be a little bit easier to bring your hips a little bit lower. They might not come down all the way, but it might take some of that tension off of your hips to allow you just to relax your knees down. And the point of Sukhasana or easy pose, it's a relaxation pose. This is Cole, by the way, if you haven't met him before. He comes into my videos. He's deaf, he's blind. We let him do what he wants to do. But the purpose for this pose is it's a relaxation pose. This is not intended to be I'm going to hold my breath and crunch in my face because I can't wait till we get out of this pose. All right. It's not intended to be a punishment here. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to find a modification or another option to this particular pose. It's going to work best for you and your body and where you are today. So when you come to a yoga class and your teacher tells you to come into an easy seated position, maybe try sitting on a yoga block. Okay. Now, one other option I'm going to give you is that, you know what? It's your yoga practice. The teacher's there to help guide you and provide some suggestions, but you know your body the best. Okay. So you're going to make the decisions for your body. So let's just say you're at a yoga class. You don't have a block. Maybe you don't have blocks with you or they don't have them at the studio. And this is your easy pose and you're like, this is really super intense. Or maybe just the act of bending your knees really sucks. Okay. My left knee is like that. I don't like having my left knee bent for a long period of time. So what you can do is you can extend your legs out in front of you. That's totally okay. You can put your legs wide, totally okay. You can bring one foot in towards your inner thigh, totally okay. This is what I like to do when my knee is having a moment and it doesn't want to be bent. This is what I do. All right, so it's your yoga practice. You can do what you need to do to make it your yoga practice. So one option is to sit on the blocks. Another option is to use both blocks, use two blocks, come into the easy seated position. And if your knees are pointed up here a little bit, you can try different heights of the blocks, but you can relax your knees onto the blocks to provide some additional support to allow you to come into that relaxing pose, all right? If your body is tense and tight and you're just like, I gotta get out of this pose, you're not gonna be able to get the benefits of easy pose. It's the idea here is to be relaxed so that you can focus on other things, all right? So now by bringing the blocks underneath my knees, these muscles can relax. I can relax my hips a little bit more. And now I can focus on bringing my shoulders stacked right over my hips. So I can focus on my posture. So like, let's look at this from the side. I can focus now more on my posture because I'm not sitting here like holding in my hips, all right? I've got my knees supported, bring my shoulders stacked over my hips. So now I can focus on my posture, all right? So we're relaxed and easy seated, focusing a little bit more on my posture. Spine is long, shoulders stacked over hips, back of the neck is long as well, gaze is forward. Eyes might come closed or you might soften your gaze and come into the pose. All right? So one option, sit on the block. Next option, put blocks underneath your knees. Another option is to use a yoga bolster. You could use a cushion, you could use a pillow, you could use a blanket. A lot of the yoga studios sell the yoga blankets, the yoga bolsters. There's nothing special about these yoga blankets. Some of them are a little heavier than others. You might do some yoga practices where you want the weight on you, but if you're at home trying this out, just find a blanket, you can roll it up, or a cushion. You don't need a specific yoga bolster. But you got a couple options here. Same thing with the block. You can sit on the yoga bolster. Going to be a little bit more comfortable than a hard cork yoga block, maybe even a little bit more comfortable than a foam yoga block, all right? So same thing here. You can come into the comfortable seated position, easy pose, Sukhasana. You can relax your muscles. You can relax your thighs. You're not feeling all just like, I'm going to get out of this pose, right? You can come into the pose. Now you can focus on your posture, bringing your shoulders over your hips. Spine is long, back of the neck is long. And you can come into the relaxing pose. All right. So that's another option. You can sit on a blanket, a bolster, a pillow, a cushion, whatever it is that you have on hand. Your yoga studio might also have bolsters or blankets as well that you can use if you go to yoga at a studio. And one other option I want to share here is to take the blanket, the bolster, bring it in towards your hips here, then come into the easy seated position. All right, so you can see here it kind of raises up your knees. My knee isn't as bent as much as it was if I didn't have the bolster here. So even though my knee, particularly, I don't like to have it bent all the time, it's not quite as bent. All right, so it gives it a little bit of that relief there. All right. And this also provides some additional support for the knees, which is going to help with my hips. Okay. So you come into the comfortable seated position. You can now relax. Your muscles can relax. You can bring your focus inward, start to work on your posture, relaxing your breath, coming into your yoga practice. So if you feel like you have tight hips, maybe from your job because you sit all day, your hips are just really super tight, or maybe you have an old nagging injury that you're working through. I do have some yoga flow videos here on my YouTube channel. I got one here for you that you can check out. It's a 10-minute yoga flow specifically to help you open up your hips. So you might find this helpful as well. So in the short term, if you feel like you're struggling with bringing your knees down in easy seated position or feeling like it's a really intense pose, you've got a couple options here for using yoga blocks. But longer term, you can work on opening up your hips, doing some hip mobility work, some hip flexibility work. So check out that flow, try it out, spend a little bit of time over the next couple months working on opening up your hips. Okay. one thing I want to share with you is if you are interested in learning more about different yoga poses, I found these neat cards on Amazon. Each individual card has got a yoga pose on it. It's got the Sanskrit name for it. And then just some helpful tips about what is the purpose for the pose, how to come into the pose, the benefits of the pose. This is a really neat a set of cards that if you are working on individual poses. And I am making individual pose tutorials to share with you here on my YouTube channel. So I will have the link in the description to those cards if you want to check those out. But I will also suggest that if you are somebody who is working on your yoga practice, you're over 35, 40, 50 or beyond, and you might have some of these like just nagging injuries, things that you feel like might be a hindrance to you practicing yoga. I'm here to help you figure it out, okay? I might not have all the answers all the time, but I am dealing with some of the things myself. So a lot of the stuff that I like to share is things that I have learned from my own yoga practice. So if you find this helpful, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share this with somebody who you think might find it helpful. I'm also curious to know what other poses you would like to have me do a pose tutorial on, and then some options on how you might be able to bring props in to the yoga pose to help. So I'd love to know what poses you feel like you struggle with a little bit and you want to know some additional options. So let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.